Okay, all right. Now we got everything situated. We're gonna go ahead and get into these verses here. Let me pull up Genesis 26. Start reading over here. 1 second here. Pull up.
Why is that car right there?
Oh, wait a second. Here we go. All right, go ahead and read for us Genesis 26, starting with the first verse.
And it says, "And there was a scarcity of food in the land, besides the first scarcity of food which was in the days of Abraham and Yitzhak. And Yitzhak went to Abimelech, sovereign of the Philistines, in Gerar. And Yahweh appeared to him and said, Do not go down to Mitzrayim. Live in the land which I command you. Sojourn in this land, and I shall be with you and bless you. For I give all these lands to you and your seed. And I shall establish the oath which I swore to Abraham your father. And I shall increase your seed like the stars of the heavens. And I shall give all these lands to your seed, and in your seed all the nations of the earth shall be blessed. Because Abraham obeyed my voice and guarded my charge, my commands, my laws, and my Torot. And Yitzhak dwelt in Gerar, and when the men of the place asked about his wife, he said, She is my sister. For he was afraid to say, She is my wife, thinking lest the man of the place should kill me for Ribkah, because she is good looking. And it came to be when he had been there a long time, that Abimelech, sovereign of the Philistines, looked through a window, and he watched and saw Yitzhak playing with Ribkah, his wife. So Abimelech called Yitzhak and said, See, truly she is your wife. So how could you say she is my sister? And Yitzhak said to him, Because I said, lest I die on account of her. And Abimelech said, What is this you have done to us? One of the people had almost lain with your wife, and you would have brought guilt on us. And Abimelech commanded all his people, saying, He who touches this man or his wife shall certainly be put to death. And Yitzhak sowed in that land and reaped in the same year 100-fold. And Yahweh blessed him, and the man grew great and went forward until he became very great. And he came to have possessions of flocks and possessions of herds and a great body of servants. And the Philistines envied him. And the Philistines had stopped up all the wells which his father's servant had dug in the days of Abraham his father, and filled them with dirt. And Abimelech said to Yitzhak, Go away from us, for you are much mightier than we. So Yitzhak went from there and pitched his tent in the Wadi Gerar and dwelt there. And Yitzhak dug again the wells of water, which they had dug in the days of Abraham his father, for the Philistines had stopped them up after the death of Abraham, and he called them by the names which his father had called them. And but when Yitzhak's servant dug in the Wadi and found a well of running water there, the herdsmen of Gerar strove with Yitzhak's herdsmen, saying, The water is ours. And he called the name of the well Esek, because they strove with him. And they dug another wall, and they strove over that one too. And he called its name Sitnah. And he moved from there and dug another well, and they did not strive over it. And he called its name Rehoboth, and said, For now Yahweh has made room for us, and we shall be fruitful in the land. And from there he went up to Beersheba, and Yahweh appeared to him in the night and said, I am the Elohim of your father Abraham. Do not fear, for I am with you, and I shall bless you, and I shall increase your seed for my servant Abraham's sake. And he built a slaughter place there, and called on the name of Yahweh, and he pitched his tent there. And the servants of Yitzhak dug a well there. And Abimelech came to him from Gerar with Ahuzath, one of his friends, and Pikol, the commander of his army. And Yitzhak said to them, "Why have you come to me, seeing you have hated me and have sent me away from you?" But they said, "We have clearly seen that Yahweh is with you." And we said, "Please let there be an oath between us, between you and us, and let us make a covenant with you, that you do no evil to us, as we have not touched you, and as we have done only good towards you, and have sent you away in peace. You are now blessed by Yahweh." And he made them a feast, and they ate and drank, and they rose early in the morning and swore an oath with one another. And Yitzhak let him go, and they departed from him in peace. And on the same day it came to be that the servants of Yitzhak came and informed about the well which they had dug, and said to him, "We have found water." So he called it Sheba. Therefore the name of the city is Beersheba to this day. And when Esau saw 40, and when Esau was 40 years old, he took as wives Yehudith, the daughter of Beri, the Hittite, and Basemath, the daughter of Elon, the Hittite, and they were a bitterness of spirit to Yitzhak and Rivka.
All right. Very good. Very good. Okay, let's go back up here and look at what we have. If we go all the way back to the top, we see that it begins with there was a scarcity of food in the land. There was a famine in the land. It's interesting when we look over here that this here is kind of compared with the famine that Abraham experienced. The famine that Isaac's father experienced is kind of referenced over here. There was a famine in the land besides the first famine, which was in the days of Abraham. It's interesting that it brings that up because later we find when Isaac interacts with this Abimelech, who, by the way, probably is not the same Abimelech as who Abraham dealt with. This would have been some 80 years later, which helps us to kind of think about the fact that this name Abimelech is actually a title, like unto Pharaoh. So it's not like it's the same guy. It's a new,
like Father King or something like that.
yes.
So it's not the same one from.
It's not the same guy.
Abraham.
I would think no. It's probably not. It's many years later.
Mm-hmm.
It's roughly the same. You're talking about the same area, so it's probably his son, not the actual same guy. It would be interesting if it was the same guy and he did the exact same thing. I guess it probably it's probably just as interesting the fact that it's the two sons of the two fathers that the exact same thing happened. I think it's just as interesting as it being, the situation or whatever. I don't want to talk about that yet. I want to talk about verse 2, where it says that Yahweh appeared to him. Yahweh appeared to him. I've spoken about the word Ra'ah, which is what this is here, appeared. I don't know why I can't select it. Here, let me do this. Besides the first, today's, second verse. Ra'ah, which means to see, literally or figuratively. Things that we want to pay attention to are words like appear, like it is translated there, and also perceive, also, let's see here. Oh, to meet. Yes, that's very good. And to have experience. And so when we look at this word over here, it's interesting. When we think about this word Ra'ah, which is actually exactly the same. The word that means to see is exactly the same as a bird with prey, which, when you think about a bird of prey, the bird sees from far away, and it swoops in and experiences what it saw, right? And so what he saw, what the bird sees, it knows that is being experienced by the bird. When you think about these birds of prey, they see their little things.
Like a worm or something.
Fish.
Yeah, well, the carrying on ones, the vulture ones.
I wouldn't say a worm. I would say like some living thing. Like for instance, I never forget downtown. I live in Pittsburgh, downtown Pittsburgh. There are some peregrine falcons that nest downtown in downtown Pittsburgh on one of the buildings. They have like a nest, and there's like cameras up there. If you like search it, you can see them on the cameras. I was working. This was back in my chefing days. I was working in a building where these falcons would sometimes frequent, and I worked at the top of the building, so there was windows, and they would like perch right up on the ledge there, and then every once in a while you would see them just kind of just dive off. One time I was walking down the street, minding my own business, and next thing you know, all of a sudden, a wing, a pigeon wing, falls out of the sky and lands like almost right in front of me, and it plops down on the ground. I didn't see what happened, but I think that the peregrine falcon probably attacked a bird in the sky, causing for his wing to fall off of it and land in front of me. So the pigeon knew that it was being experienced. It was having an experience by the falcon. The falcon saw it and decided that it was going to have an experience with it, and he manifested those thoughts. They became reality. And so it's interesting that when we see this phrase here, and Yahweh appeared, that we're thinking about the idea of the Most High coming and having an intimate experience with whomever he's appearing to. In this case, it's Isaac. And so when we see this in these different narratives, it's about the Most High making his presence known to these individuals on a level that is greater than just hearing his voice. Because it could have just said that he spoke to him, or he heard the voice of the Most High. But when it talks about the idea of appearing, there is this intimacy that's going on, this experience that is being experienced by the one who is the Most High is appearing to. And so not only, from this, we can understand the fact that not only is it important to be able to hear from the Almighty, but to actually know that the Almighty is dealing with you. Okay? Because, sometimes we may hear from the Most High and not actually even know that it's the Most High speaking with us, right? That would be a different situation than the Most High appearing, right? Because when we think about appearing, again, we have this idea of this experiential thing that's going on. I want to look over at 1 Samuel. 1 Samuel 3. 4.
Joseph, stay there. Stop.
Read. I was gonna start at 4. Just start reading at verse number 1. Hold on, let me put it up on the screen here. Go ahead, start reading at verse 1 there.
And the young Shemuel was serving Yahweh before Eli, and the word of Yahweh was rare in those days.
Let's just stop right there. The young Shemuel was serving Yahweh before Eli. Shemuel here is doing some work for the Most High.
Mm-hmm.
Shemuel is serving Yahweh. He's doing a service unto Yahweh. So this is important as we're looking at what's going on. Okay. Go ahead.
No vision breaking forth.
Just say and the word right.
And the word of Yahweh was rare in those days. No vision breaking forth. And it came to be in that day that Eli was laying down in his place, and his eyes had begun to grow so dim that he was unable to see. And the lamp of Elohim had not gone out in the Hekal of Yahweh, where the ark of Elohim was. And Shemuel was lying down to sleep. And Yahweh called Shemuel, and he answered, "Here I am." He then ran to Eli and said, "Here I am, for you have called me." But he said, "I did not call. Lie down again." So he went and lay down. And Yahweh called again, Shemuel. And Shemuel arose and went to Eli and said, Here I am, for you have called me. But he answered, My son, I did not call. Lie down again. Now Shemuel did not yet know Yahweh, and the word of Yahweh was not yet revealed to him. And Yahweh called Shemuel again the third time. And he arose and he went to Eli and said, Here I am, for you did call me. Then Eli understood that Yahweh had called the youth. So Eli said to Shemuel, Go, lie down, and it shall be, if he calls you, say, Speak Yahweh, for your servant hears. And Shemuel went and lay down in his place. And Yahweh came and stood and called as at other times, Shemuel, Shemuel. And Shemuel answered, Speak, for your servant hears. And Yahweh said to Shemuel, See, I am doing a matter in Israel at which both ears of everyone who hears it shall tingle.
Okay, that's good right there. All right, so very good. So we see Shemuel. He was able to do some work, and he was working for the Most High.
Mm-hmm.
As it said up there, all the way up in verse number 1. Even if we went back to the previous chapter, even if we look back in the previous chapter, chapter 2, young Shemuel in verse 18, read verse 18.
But Shemuel was attending before Yahweh a youth wearing a linen shoulder garment.
He was attending before Yahweh. He was serving Yahweh. King James says, but Shemuel ministered before Yahweh. Okay? And so we have all of that with Shemuel ministering before Yahweh, working for Yahweh. If we go back to chapter 3 over here, in verse 7, it said, even though we have all these things that Shemuel was doing, it says he did not yet know Yahweh. And the word of Yahweh was not yet revealed to him. Okay? And so we don't have with Shemuel as of this point being able to actually know, experience, have this intimate relationship with the Most High.
Mm-hmm.
But he heard the voice, though. He heard his voice.
Mm-hmm.
He heard his name being called, Shemuel. He's looking around. He's going to talk to Eli.
He's like, somebody called me.
You called me? He's like, no, man, I ain't call you. Go back to bed. Go back and lie down. I ain't call you. What's wrong with you?
Talk your tongue.
Right? So he's here. He's hearing, but he's not experiencing the Most High. He don't know that is. He don't know that is the Almighty speaking with him. But when we know him, when we know Elohim, and we know his character, and we understand who he is, we know when it's him that's talking to us.
Mm-hmm.
It gives us right there in verse 7, helps us to know that he still needed some lessons. He didn't get all of his lessons, right? We see where his master over here has to say to him, look, go back over there. That's the most I talk to me. Go over there, lay down, and when you hear him, you say, I'm ready to to hear what you say. Like he gives them these instructions to be able to handle what it is that's going on in this situation. But we're seeing that there is a necessity for you to be able to not just only hear, but to be able to experience. Right? Let's look at some other verses because we able to learn, which we'll see going back to Genesis chapter 26, that being able to fully experience what it is the Most High has for you, when we don't tap all the way into what it is that the Most High is doing, we misstep, right? We make missteps, and we miss out on blessings that the Most High has for us, because it's almost like we're doing partial instructions, right? If I don't know the whole message that the Most High is trying to give to me, and I'm just doing it partially, if I have the instructions to a thing and then that I'm skipping steps, I'm not going to have a fortified structure at the end of the day. And so we need to have this necessary component, this knowing, when it comes to hearing from the Most High. Before we go back to Genesis, let's go over and look at some things here. Let's go look at Matthew 7. Read verse 21 through 23.
7:21 says, "Not everyone who says to me, Master, Master, shall enter into the reign of the heavens, but he who is doing the desire of my Father is in the heavens. Many shall say to me in that day, Master, Master, have we not prophesied in your name and cast out demons in your name and done many mighty works in your name? And then I shall declare to them, I never knew you. Depart from me, you who work lawlessness."
Okay, very good. Oftentimes when we look at these verses, we focus on verse 23 because these persons here, they was doing all these things. They was doing works. They was doing the works, just like Shemuel was doing the work, but he didn't know Yahweh. Like I said, right? These people, they was doing the works. They was prophesizing. They was casting out these demons. They was doing mighty works. But it said, I never knew you. But over here in verse 21, it says, not everyone who says to me, Master, Master, shall enter into the reign of the heavens, but the ones who is going to enter into the reign of the heavens is he who is doing the desire of my Father in heavens. The desire. So we got to kind of know what the desire of the Father in heaven is if we want to enter into the reign, the kingdom of the heavens. Because there's people that don't know the desire. These people obviously don't know the desire because they aren't making it in, right? Moses, Yeshua says, depart from me, you workers of lawlessness. Mm-hmm. But we have to know about this here desire thing. What does it say in the Greek over here? He that doeth the will. He that doeth the will. The determination of a thing. Mm-hmm. If we think about the determinations of Yah, the things that he has determined to be thus or so, right? His purposes, his decrees, the inclination, the pleasure of the Most High. What could we be talking about when we think about what the desire of the Father in the heavens is? Things that he has determined to be. This can't be nothing else but the law, statutes, and commands of the Most High.
Mm-hmm.
And we don't want to think about it in kind of this legalistic type of a way, because we understand that the law, statutes, and commands of the Most High are, in fact, the character of the Most High humanized. He says, Yeshua says over in Matthew 6, oh, it's just the next chapter over. When he was speaking with his disciples about prayer, he said 6. Here, just start at, we want to look at 10. Start reading at verse 5.
5. And when you pray, you shall not be like the hypocrites, for they love to pray standing in the congregations and on the corners of the street, to be seen by men. Truly I say to you, they have their reward. But you, when you pray, go into your room, and having shut your door, pray to your Father who is in the secret place. And your Father who sees in secret shall reward you openly. And when praying, do not keep on babbling like the nations, for they think that they shall be heard for their many words. Mm-hmm. Therefore, do not be like them, for your Father knows what you need before you ask him. This, then, is the way you should pray. Our Father, who is in heaven, let your name be set apart. Mm-hmm. Let your reign come. Let your desire be done on earth as it is in heaven.
Okay, that's what we're talking about right there. Let your desire be done on earth as it is in heaven. Let your will be done on earth as it is in heaven. What in the world is that? That is the character of the Most High, which exists perfectly in heaven. And if the Most High's reign comes, then that which exists perfectly in heaven is going to be existing then in earth. Your will be done on earth as it already is in heaven. The will, the desire, the actual character, the determinations of the Most High that exist perfectly in heaven being manifest in the earth. And so if we want to be able to fully experience the Almighty, then we have to allow for his desire to be manifesting in our lives. Okay? His will be done on earth as it is in heaven. That's talking about the Spirit of the Most High operating in you. And so you're not only just hearing his voice, but you're knowing that it's his voice that you're hearing, and you're doing that which that voice is saying. Okay? Let's look at something else. Because we're able to look at Isaac and see that there was some hearing, but with the things in which that he was doing, there was a little bit of clogging, just like what we seen with his before when we looked at this Rebecca actually means clog, right? And so there was some clogging going on. So he was having these meetings with the Most High, and the Most High was saying what he was going to do. And then we go and see the way in which he's moving. And there's some things where he's actually needs some adjustments. Right? So let's continue before we go back over to Genesis. Let's look over in Romans 12. Another verse. Let me see. People read this verse all the time. We pay close attention to certain things in it, but not so much attention to other things. Read verse 2.
And do not be conformed to this world, but be transformed by the renewing of your mind, so that you prove what is that good and well-pleasing and perfect desire of Elohim.
Okay, very good. So what happens when you're transformed? It said, don't be conformed to the world, but be transformed by the renewing of your mind. What happens when your mind is transformed? There's a comma there, right? There's a comma, but if this was a math thing, that'd be an equal sign right there. Right? It'd be an equal sign right there, so that you prove what is that good and pleasing and perfect desire, perfect will of Elohim. And so when we're being transformed by the renewing of our mind, the thing that's going on is the Ruach HaKodesh operating inside of you. You understanding that it's the Spirit of the Most High making moves inside of you, transforming you, changing your desires into the desires of the Most High, going from the things that you like and those things being transferred over to the things that the Most High like, and you doing those things as opposed to the things that's in your carnal mind. This ain't nothing but the will of Elohim being implanted into your heart. Right? And so it's important for us to be able to understand this idea of not only experiencing the Most High, having the Most High appearing unto us, but seeing what is necessary for that to actually happen. Right? And over here is almost like a formula, right? Don't be conformed to the world. Don't be like the world will have for you to be, but be transformed by the renewing of your mind. And that is equal to you proving what is that good and well-pleasing and perfect desire of Elohim. You're proving the will of the Most High when you operate according to the character of the Most High by way of the Spirit of the Most High inside of you. So when we look back at her, before we do that, let's look at something else. Let's go over here. We're talking about Isaac over here. I don't know if you knew that or not. Let's go over to John. John 10. Here, read this voice, right? Read this verse. That was a Freudian
20 what?
27.
27. My sheep hear my voice, and I know them, and they follow me.
My sheep, that's you. Hear my voice, that's Messiah. You hear the voice of Messiah. My sheep hear my voice, and I know them, and it says follow me, but it could say I know them, and they know me. Is implied. The knowledge here is implied. The mutual knowledge here is implied. I know them, and they know me. They hear my voice. I know them. Okay, because it can't be one way, right? It can't be that he knows the sheep, but the sheep don't know him. Right? That's not implied here. What's implied is that he knows the sheep, and the sheep also know him. There's a mutual knowing going on over here. And as a result of that mutual knowing they follow me. I have this coworker, right, who has this rescue dog, right? Apparently his wife talked him into getting this rescue dog, and apparently this dog was badly treated in his previous ownership, right? And so he has like a apprehension about him. He's kind of scared of most things, mostly males, I guess.
Oh, man.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
The soft women he's okay with, but the hard men he's afraid of.
Aww.
And so there's a component that's missing, right? He belongs, of course, to the guy. He belongs to him, right? But and the guy knows that this dog belongs to him. He knows it, but the dog don't know it, right? So there's a component that's missing where the master knows the servant, but the servant don't know the master, right? And so that's a problem. And so again, if we're looking at this, where it only says that I, Yeshua, know them, but it don't say the other part. But if you don't have the other part, you can't have this and they follow me. Because he said he comes in the room and the dog runs away from him. But when the wife comes around, he goes to her, right? And so he understands the dynamic of the relationship, with the mommy, but not with the daddy.
So they need counseling.
Well, he just has to. He's traumatized. I guess he got PTSD or whatever. The dog does.
So he has to warm up to it.
Yeah, right. And so, saying all that just to say, there has to be this mutual knowledge, this mutual knowing. It can't just be that the master knows you. You got to also know the master so that you get to this and part, the
connection.
Yeah, and they follow me.
It's just like with the electricity, you gotta make that connection. The connection isn't there, the and part, the valve part, it's not able to. They're not able to follow him, that they don't know him.
Yeah. The knowing, the knowing is in fact a connection.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's keep on going here. Let's look at. We're off on a tangent. However, what we want to be able to understand is what we gain from Genesis 26 verse 2 with the idea where it says, and Yahweh appeared to him, understanding that this appearance implies to us a mutual knowledge that's necessary for us to have if we want to be able to do what it is that the Most High has for us to be doing. Within the plan of the Almighty, He needs for us to not only hear from Him, but to know Him and to have intimate relationships with Him. Let's look at for me it's a popular set of verses. I think it's very important for us understanding this idea here. If we look at Deuteronomy 10:14, read down to 19.
10. See, the heavens and the heaven of heavens belong to Yahweh your Elohim. Also the earth with all that is in it. Yahweh delighted only in your fathers to love them, and he chose their seed after them, you above all peoples, as it is today. And you shall circumcise the foreskin of your heart, and harden your neck no more. For Yahweh your Elohim is Elohim of mighty ones, and master of masters, the great El, mighty and awesome, who shows no partiality nor takes a bribe. He executes right ruling for the fatherless and the widow, and loves the stranger, giving him food and a garment. And you shall love the stranger, for you were strangers in the land of Mitzrayim.
Okay. Yahweh, the Most High, executes judgment. The Most High executes right ruling for the fatherless and the widow, and loves the stranger, giving him food and a garment through you. Through those that are obedient to the will of the Most High. I mean, he could drop some love. How's he drop love out of the sky on somebody who needs love? How's he execute judgment spiritually to the fatherless and to the widow? Go ahead, put that in the comments how he do it. How's he give food and garment to those who need foods and garment unless he drops it out of the sky?
Yes, other people there's people to help.
If he ain't dropping it out of the sky, then he needs for his people to do it for him.
Working through his people.
That's the only way. He set it up that way. He's not handicapped by it. His will is not altered because it's manifest through people, but it is in fact manifested through people. And he said it right over here. He executes the way in which he executes judgment, right ruling for the fatherless and a widow and a stranger by giving them food and garments. Is not by dropping it out the sky. Because when we look at 19, and you shall love your stranger, for you were strangers in the land of Mitzrayim. You're the one who's doing it. And so the Most High uses his people for his will to be manifest in this world. The people who know him, the people who understand what his will and desire is, that do it. The people who are able to understand what his will and desire is, bring his perfect desire that exists in heaven into this earth. This is the way that he made for it to be. He made it this way. Let's look at 2 Corinthians. We're still talking about this knowledge that is necessary for us to have inside of ourselves so that the will of the Most High could be manifest in and through us in this earth. Because when we don't have these things, there's things that not only that we gonna miss out on, but it's things that somebody's waiting on you and your obedience. Somebody's waiting on you and your obedience to get their thing. That's something right there. I done said something. If I said something to these 9 people that's in the comments in the thing right there, you go ahead and say, you know what I'm saying, give me a hallelujah or amen or something.
Yeah.
If I said something. You know what I'm saying? Because that's something right there. Somebody is waiting on you to be obedient to the Most High so that they could get something. They can't even get nothing unless you give it to them. It's a little spiritual domino effect. And you got to set the thing off. The Most High telling you to go ahead and do the thing, but you ain't doing it. Let's look over at 2 Corinthians. We're gonna see all of this. It seems like I done went on a tangent, but when we go back over to Genesis and Isaac in this situation, we're gonna be able to see that the Most High wants for him to be doing something. He got something for him, but there's some things that's blocking his situation. But we see him get unclogged and we see what happens. So, but first, let's go over it. We're going a long way. Let's just take the scenic route. Like, what you want to go straight over there for? You just want to go straight to where you going to.
You know, I do.
You just want to go straight to there. You put on a series.
Oh,
you put on a series and just go straight to the last episode.
I do that.
Man, I'm trying to watch every single episode. So let's go over to episode number 2. 2 Corinthians 5.
Mm-hmm.
and read
Go to the last chapter
17 and go ahead and read to the end of this chapter right here.
Therefore, if anyone is in Messiah, he is a renewed creature. The old matters have passed away. See, all matters have been renewed. And all matters are from Elohim, who has restored us to favor with himself through Yeshua Messiah, and has given us the service of restoration to favor.
All right, so stop right there. So, first of all, we got to deal with the fact that we new creation. So we're not talking about some old self-righteousness over here. We're not talking about this you doing things inside of your own situation over here. That's not what we discussing, because you're a new creature. Right, you have become new. And then so all matters now are from Elohim, who has in fact restored us to favor with himself through Messiah. So we didn't came to this other situation at this point, right? Because of what Messiah has done for us. But what did he do for us? He has given us the service of restoration of favor. He's restored us to favor, but now he has a commission for us to be restorers of favor. He given us the service of restoration of favor. You see that? So he restored us to favor, and then now we're favor restorers because we are propagating Messiah to the world. The King James says he's given us the ministry of reconciliation. Mm-hmm. The ministry of reconciliation. You've been reconciled, and now you on this mission of being participating in the reconciliation of others. Okay, 19.
19. That is, that Elohim was in Messiah, restoring the world to favor unto himself, not reckoning their trespasses to them, and has committed to us the word of restoration to favor. Therefore,
hold on. He did something. Messiah did in terms of restoring favor reconciliation to the world. And he's no longer dealing with, once you come to Messiah, he no longer dealing with you according to your trespass. Once you come unto him. But it don't stop right there. It don't stop with you in your regenerated and rejuvenated and reconciliated state. He said he has committed to us the word of restoration of favor. The word of reconciliation. That's something for you to be doing. So somebody is waiting to know, to hear about what the Most High has given to you, this precious gift of Messiah, the Ruach HaKodesh living in your heart. Somebody is waiting for you to share that with them so that they can be restored to favor. Somebody waiting on their blessing that they can't get. The Most High probably ain't going to just drop it out the sky on them. He's going to use somebody to give it to them. That somebody's you. All right, keep on going.
20. Therefore, we are envoys on behalf of Messiah.
He said we are envoys. What that word? What they say that in the King James? What that say? Hold on. Ambassador. Ambassadors. That's an interesting word because an ambassador is somebody who's been given this delegated authority to go and do a thing and be this representative of somebody. And as that representative, you represent that group or whatever nation where you are.
The foreign land.
And so we are ambassadors for Messiah. And so we're representatives of Messiah on the earth. Messiah is done died and went back to the Father and sent back his spirit to quicken our hearts so that we can become ambassadors for Messiah. So we walking around on his behalf, making his will be manifest in this world. And so I'm saying now, if we want to do the thing that the Most High, of course, has for each and every one of us to do, it's not just for one person to do, but for us all to do, we have to have that intimate relationship with the Most High. And then once we have gained that, we have to then spread and share that. Okay, and verse 21.
For he made him who knew no sin to be sin for us, so that in him we might become the righteousness of Elohim.
He said, in him, in Messiah. It's interesting because in Messiah it says that we might be made the righteousness of Elohim. We're made the righteousness of Elohim. The righteousness of Elohim, I thought was Yeshua. But it says so that in him we might become the righteousness of Elohim. We're going to come back to this idea of righteousness of Elohim. Because we're going to go over to the fourth episode
of
the series and go to chapter 4. Chapter 4, start reading now verse 1.
Verse 1, therefore, having this service, even as we received compassion, we do not lose heart, but have renounced the secret ways of shame, not walking in craftiness, nor falsifying the word of Elohim, but by the manifestation of the truth, recommending ourselves to every human conscience in the sight of Elohim. And indeed, if our good news has been veiled, it has been veiled in those who are perishing.
He said, if our gospel be covered up, if it be veiled. What does word mean, right? If it be hid. Ooh,
Kalup.
kalupto, the same thing the woman supposed to be doing with her head. Is covering it up. If the gospel be veiled, if you can't see it, it's covered up to those who need to see it, who are perishing. Indeed, if our good news has been veiled, it has been veiled in those who are perishing. The people that are dying and in need of receiving it can't have it because you covered it up and don't want nobody to see it. As a woman covers up her hair and don't want nobody to see it. The same way that a woman cover her head up and cover all of her beauty inside of her hair from people looking at it is the same way perishing people is not seeing the gospel if you covering it up, if you veiling it. Yeah. Verse 4.
In whom the mighty one of this age has blinded the minds of the unbelieving, so that the enlightening of the good news of the esteem of Messiah, who is the likeness of Elohim, does not shine on them.
These people out here that's perishing, they out here and they've been blinded. Their minds are blinded, and they haven't been enlightened by the good news because you're hiding it from the glory of Messiah. There is a duty for us to, in fact, shine our light. Yeshua said that we are the light of the world. We're the salt of the earth. There's something that we got to be doing, which we're not able to do if we don't have that intimate relationship with Messiah. The thing that he wants for us to be doing, we got to be about the business of doing it. So that these people that have their minds have been blinded, that are unbelieving, that are in fact perishing, can actually receive life everlasting. The Most High and his character is manifest through us. Yeshua said to his disciples, you're supposed to go out and make disciples. You need to go out and bring people to the truth and cause for these people to understand who I am so that they too can come to the knowledge of the truth. Let's look over here. Let's look over at some more scriptures over here. All this because we saw that Yahweh appeared to Isaac. But we want for Yahweh to appear to us. But we want to actually know that it's him appearing to us. Let's go over here to see here, Book of Wisdom, chapter 1, verse 3. Read verse 3 down to verse 5.
For froward thoughts separate from Yah, and his power, when it is tried, reproveth the unwise.
Hold on. So froward thoughts separate from Elohim.
Froward.
So sometimes we have these thoughts that are, well, you got something that's kind of froward is different from forward. Something that's moving you in a forward direction. You could either go to or you could go fro. So one's going one way and the other one's going the opposite way. And so things that are negatively leaning, these things separate you from Elohim. Froward, right? These bad things. Here, let's look at this. He said, what is froward? I could say what I had to say about it, but what do Webster say that it is? Because these is them people words, you know what I'm saying? Froward. Let's do this. Let's say define froward. Froward. Okay, perverse. That is turning from with aversion or reluctance, not willing to yield or comply with what is required, unyielding, ungovernable, refractory. That's a good one there. Disobedient, peevish, as a froward child. They are a very froward generation, children in whom is no fair. Right? So the froward thoughts separate from Elohim. The ungovernable thoughts separate from Elohim. The unyielding thoughts, right? The disobedient thoughts, the unwillingness to yield or comply thoughts separate from Elohim, and his power, when it is tried, reprove the unwise. Verse 4.
For into a malicious soul wisdom shall not enter.
If your soul is malicious, wisdom ain't getting in there. It said that that malicious soul, wisdom ain't coming in there. And so when we think about the idea of if we think about the idea of Isaac, who Yahweh appeared to him, he was hearing him, he was seeing him, he was having this intimate relation with, as opposed to Shemuel, who heard but didn't have the intimate relation with, right? And so we see that there's things that are necessary to happen inside of us so that we can have that proper interaction with the Most High. And so maliciousness in our soul, right, is something that keeps wisdom, the knowledge of the Most High, wisdom, the application of the knowledge of the Most High, from entering into our soul, right? And so we have to allow for that to be rooted out of us so that we're able to move beyond the level of just hearing and move into the next situation of actually knowing. Right? Because you could have this malicious soul, this thing going on inside of you that's blocking, that's causing there to be a block. Right? Okay, keep on going.
Nor dwell in the body that is subject unto sin.
When your body is an instrument of sin, how is wisdom going to enter it?
Okay.
So people want to sit up here and have all of these things to say. Meanwhile, their body is actually the subject unto sin. Ain't no wisdom over there. Ain't no wisdom over there. Okay. Read verse. Where did I say go to? Read verse 5.
For the Holy Spirit of discipline will flee deceit and remove from thoughts that are without understanding, and will not abide when unrighteousness cometh in.
So if we want to experience this relationship with the Most High, right? if we want to experience the Ruach HaKodesh, it says right over here that the spirit of discipline will flee if you got deceit in you. If you just be up here lying and tricking people, then righteousness can't live in you. In fact, unrighteousness is going to live in you. It's going to come in and it's going to live there. When we think about so going back to what we looked at in the other verse, we're talking about the righteousness of Elohim.
Mm-hmm.
Romans 10, 1 through 4 helps us to understand that the righteousness of Elohim is in fact Yeshua. And so we need to know Yeshua and have him living on the inside of us so that we're able to have the opposite, the antithesis of all of these things going on inside of us, right? Not having froward thoughts, not having this malicious soul, right? Not moving away from the spirit of discipline, right? Because of us having deceit in our hearts. Let's keep on. Let's go down. Let's go down to let's go over to all right, let's go back to Genesis. Let's go back to Genesis with all of those things being said, right? If we go back over to Bereshit 26, verse 2, Yahweh appeared to Isaac, and then what did he say? What did he say?
He said, sojourn in
verse 2.
He said, do not go down to Mizraim. Live in the land which I command you.
Okay, very good. So when we think about this, it started off by saying this land that he was in was experiencing a famine. And so when he's saying to Isaac, don't go down to Mizraim, live in the land, he's saying to Isaac, I need for you to trust in me. I need for you to put your unwavered faith in me and allow for me to move you through this scarcity of food that's in the land. Don't go down there to Mizraim where they got all of the things over there, because we know who is providing for them over there. But what about over here where there ain't nothing for around, where things are scarce? How then are you going to get something but by me? Right? He's calling for Isaac to operate in faith. He said, do not go down. Sojourn in this land. And then what? And then what's going to happen when you sojourn?
And I shall be with you and bless you, For I give all these lands to you and your seed, and I shall establish the oath which I swore to Abraham your father.
The Most High, see, something we got to understand about this so-called Old Testament. Verse 3 is grace. Verse 3 is grace in the Old Testament. The people will sit up here and act like grace. Hold on. Let's look at this real quick. Let's look at John. This is so interesting. People sit up here and talk about grace like it. Ooh. People sit up here and talk about the New Testament like they don't be talking about grace in the New Testament. And then they sit up here and read these things. That's let's see, where the verse at? Oh, verse 14. What do John 1 and 14 say?
Oh, my bad. I'll read it. And the word became flesh and pitched his tent among us, and we saw his esteem as of.
Oh, hold on. Let me put this in. Sometimes you just gotta have something be in the King James version.
Is it the King's English?
Sometimes it just gotta be in the King James version just so we understand what's going on over here. Okay, 14.
14. Okay, and the word was made flesh and dwelt among us, and we beheld his glory, the glory as the only begotten of the Father, full of grace and truth.
Oh, my fault. 15 and 16.
Okay. John bare witness of him and cried, saying, this was he of whom I spake. He that cometh after me is preferred before me, for he was before me. And of his fullness have all we received, and grace for grace.
Oh, my fault. 17 is the verse.
For the law was given by Moses, but grace and truth came by Yeshua Messiah.
This over here got people thinking that you got Moses on one end. You got the law of Moses that was given. You got the law and all that. But grace and truth, that you only get that in the New Testament with Messiah.
Mm-hmm.
Meanwhile, what we was looking at over here in Bereshit in 26 and verse 3, when he said, I will perform an oath which I swear unto Abraham, my father, the only reason why Isaac is getting the opportunity to receive these blessings on him and his seed, he's talking to Isaac at this point, you're going to be blessed, your seed going to be blessed, and all of these countries going to be blessed, not because of what you did, not because of what you was able to do, but because of what I said I was going to do, the Most High said he was going to do to your daddy, to Abraham. That's grace right there. He giving him something, and it don't got nothing to do with what he's doing. The decision was made to do it based on Abraham. So his actions over here ain't connected to what it is that the Most High has in store for him. To a degree. Because if he sit up here and do the opposite of what he said don't go down to Mizraim. If he was to go down to Mizraim, then he ain't getting nothing. But if he don't go down, so it's calling for him not to do something. And if you don't do this something that I'm saying for you not to do, then I'm going to give you something that you didn't even work for. yeah, is because of what your daddy did and what he went through that you're going to receive this blessing. That's grace. Okay. All right. So let's keep on going down here. So when we look over here, we see that Isaac says, okay, I'm going to chill over here. I'm going to stay over here in this place where Abimelech is, instead of going down to Egypt. Most High said, don't go to Egypt. Stay right here. When you stay, I'm gonna increase your seed like the stars in the heaven because of what Abraham did. But when we look at Isaac and what he got going on over here, there's a thing that he's doing in this land with these people that is exhibiting faithlessness unto the Most High. Because the Most High is the one who said for him to stay here. So is he going to have for him to stay in this place and it be like this hostile environment where he's going to be killed? Like, is the Most High going to have for you to stay in this place and this place be a place of danger where he got to sit up here and make up these stories in order to be safe? Because that's obviously what he thought that he needed to do.
Yeah, take measures into his own hand.
He had to do what he thought that he needed to do in order to find safety in a place where the Most High said for him to stay in the first place, where he should have actually assumed safety. Like, safety was implied to him when the Most High said, don't go to Egypt, stay where you at. This is the land that I said was going to be yours anyway. So safety here is implied. And so when we look at Isaac and we think about how this thing started with the idea of where it says that Yahweh appeared to him, we see that this is kind of a step above hearing, but we're able to also see where there's some things that's not necessarily all the way together, because there's some misunderstandings going on in terms of what Isaac should be able to be doing. Like, he should be able to stay here and not have to go into this thing of my wife is my sister, because he's following after what it is the Most High said for him to be doing in the first place. And so there's some intimacy missing in Isaac's situation. We're able to see that. It's not written right there, but we can see it by the things that he's doing. Where when we look down at read for us here, verse 8.
And it came to be, when he had been there a long time, that Abimelech, sovereign of the Philistines, looked through a window, and he watched and saw Yitzhak playing with Rivkah, his wife.
They out here playing. Now, this is obviously some kind of euphemistic talk, right? Because the word literally means, here, let's go over it. Let's look at sometimes words got meaning that goes outside of the natural scope of the definition, right? Because this word sakach means to laugh outright. Now, I could sit around and just be laughing with somebody and they're gonna be like, oh, that's his wife. I could just laugh with whoever, right? That don't mean that that's my wife just because, right? But this word literally means to laugh outright in merriment, sport, laugh, to make sport. But the context helps us to understand that these people was able to look at what they was doing and understand the intimacy between these two people and know that this playing that they was doing was only the type of playing that a man and a wife could be doing.
Right. Like, that ain't his sister. What they?
They just a little bit too close.
Yeah.
They just a little bit too close. That ain't his sister over there.
Yeah.
And then they was able to figure out this is your wife. How you gonna sit up here and be like, this is my sister? These people was about to do what they had to do over here with her. Because of you sitting up here with this lie. He said, what is this? What is this you done to us?
Mm.
One of these people almost messed around and got with her. And then if that would have happened, it says that you would have brought guilt on us. And so it's interesting that when we look at Isaac and what he's doing over here and the actions that he did, the same thing that was true with his father is true with him as it relates to this thing that they did, deceit. We just looked at this verse over here in the book of wisdom that said, where is it? We just looked at that verse over there that said, it said, for the spirit of discipline will flee from deceit. The Ruach HaKodesh will flee from deceit. And so if this ain't deceit, I don't know what is. This thing that they doing. And so we're able to see that there's something missing in the relationship that Yitzhak, Isaac, has with the Most High, where he's missing out on things that he could be participating in because of the fact that he's not walking according to the Spirit of the Most High, trusting unwaveringly in the protection that the Most High is able to provide for him. The Most High said, stay there, don't leave. He might as well have said, I'll take care of everything. Like that part was implied. If he told them not to go when they're already in the situation where they're in trouble, there's famine in the land, he was supposed to understand that he should have been able to trust in the Almighty instead of trying to take things into his own hands.
Mm-hmm.
But he, again, I'm saying again because it's the same thing that his father did. I guess it's not again, but we're able to see again the same thing happening over again. This idea of these people that are not putting the full trust in the Most High.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's something for us to be able to learn from and understand that the Most High is calling for us to be able to put our full trust in him and not to try to put matters in our own hands. He basically tried the Most High over here. And we see with Abimelech where there is some remnants of righteousness in him to even care, because he could have been at the point where don't matter if you want to sit up there and say, like, he could have said, I know that's really your wife, but since you said it, I'm just gonna go ahead and act like it ain't. He could have been like that.
Yeah.
But he had a little bit of something inside of him just to say, I know that is your wife, and I'm a chill.
And that's why the Most High told him to go over there.
Yeah, all right.
Because he would have accepted it.
He had the whole situation planned out from the beginning, but Isaac is missing out on that part. Like, he don't even know that the Most High had for him to be in this place where he got somebody who is able to figure out the seat that he putting forth. It's like he set the whole thing up from the beginning. Go ahead, stay right there. You good? Because he already know that Abimelech, first of all, he know that Isaac is going to sit up here and be with the shenanigans. He know that. But he know that Abimelech is going to find out and say, I got you. I know that you try to sit up here and lie, but we ain't like that.
So is it fair to say in this moment the father of faith lost a little bit of faith?
I think he did. I think he, but it's in his DNA though.
Right, because exactly. He's a human though. He's a human though.
He's a human, and that's what his dad did.
He was presented with men that could kill him. That's what he thought in his mind, and that proves too that your thoughts, you can't let your thoughts overrule the right decision to make. Like, not be influenced by, no matter what's in front of you. You need to face it with the faith and the truth, no matter what.
Yeah.
But even, because we all guilty of, something coming along and you having to make a choice or decision. Like, if you really think in your mind that your life is threatened, you won't try to live,
Yeah. Yeah. But just to add to that is understanding that we have to be able to trust that, especially in this situation where the Most High said to stay there in the first place. And so we have to know that even though we're going into this situation that looks perilous, the Most High said for you to be there, so he's not going to put you in danger. In fact, he's going to keep you safe from harm. And so what I find interesting now is when we look at 11, we look at verse 11, where Abimelech makes this decree here. Read verse 11 right there.
And Abimelech commanded all his people, saying, he who touches this man or his wife shall certainly be put to death.
So Abimelech makes this decree. He makes this decree after everything is brought back into order. Like, he knows that this is Isaac's wife. The seat is cleared up over here, and we have that in verse 11. If anybody sits up here and go against this man and touches his wife, you're gonna be put to death. And then so the very next verse we see over in verse 12, it talks about Isaac sowing in the land and him reaping these things that he sowed 100-fold, and Yahweh blessed him. It's interesting that we see the blessing happen only after the shenanigans is rectified. I don't know if there's a connection. It seemed like there is to me. To me, I see a connection. The things is rectified, everything's brought back into order.
Mhm.
And then now in verse 12, when he sows in the land, he reaps in the same year 100-fold, and Yahweh bless him. And then we start seeing good things after that, right? After the truth comes out, now you see the blessing.
And there was a famine.
And there was a famine.
And now he's sowing and he's reaping 100-fold.
And so when I'm looking at this, going all the way back to the beginning, we see this idea of Yahweh appearing to him, of him having this situation where it's something above hearing, where you have this intimate relationship involved in it. We see a little bit of a chink in the armor where it causes some potential hiccups. Those things are rectified, and then after this, now come the blessings. Now, when you think about it, he really didn't have to do anything to receive the blessings. All he had to do was just be there right where the Most High said for him to be. Walking according to the will of the Most High. Like he brought in the deceit. He could have just left that out and just lived, because Most High said stay there. And you going to sow, that's what you're going to do. And so all he had to do was just exist within the character of the Most High.
Mm-hmm.
And then he was going to be able to receive the blessing that the Most High said he was going to receive. And so again, when we look at just the way that these things are placed in the scripture, we see how 12 relates to 11, when we see that everything is rectified, things are put back into their proper place and proper order, and now we see the blessings come. And then he grew great, and very great. He got all types of possessions and flocks. And then, so when we see these other things happening, though, it's interesting because as far as we can tell, everything's still in order. So yes, there's things that come against him. This says in verse 14 that they envied him, the people did. He's being blessed. The people was hating on him. And so he got there's all these wells that's around that his father dug, that they stopping up. Right? And we go down and read verse 16 right there.
The Abimelech said to Yitzhak, "Go away from us, for you are much mightier than we."
Now they starting to be scared of him now. All he had to do was get himself in line with the Most High. And these same people who he was afraid of, now it done got reversed, and then they sitting up here saying, "You mightier than we are. You got to get up out of here, because you causing us to be scared of you."
And he just minding his business, just doing his thing, and they threatened just by that.
Yeah. And he ain't even doing that. It don't talk about him making no armies or nothing.
Exactly. That's what you.
He just got flocks, and he got he got people, he got servants, but he got flocks and herds and servants, and they started hating. But now, because of the blessings that he's receiving, they sitting up here getting mad. But again, I'm saying that all of these things are happening in a particular order, though. And he can't go because the Most High didn't say to go. He said for him to stay there.
Yeah, release. Oh my God.
Yeah, they trying to run him off the land because he's like shining. Everybody walking past, seeing the blessings. It's like he planting something and it's growing tenfold. You planting something
100-fold.
Yeah, 100-fold. Yeah. and you playing something, and you lucky to get like a little something out of it. You know, then you
They
like,
gardens probably look like mine. My little stupid thing. I try to sit up there and plant, and stuff don't be growing. They getting mad at the neighbors because they things is prospering like crazy. But it's interesting that when we see that the Most High is only providing for Isaac in these situations, he's only causing for his situation to flourish. So we see where Isaac he digs these wells, and then they water come out, and the people come with hating, and they're like, nah, this ain't your water. This is my water. That's my bite. They come over debone his well whenever he the one that sit up here and built it. They say, all right, cool. I'll go over here to this other spot and just make me another one. And they do the same thing over there. But the thing is that when we look at this, it's like we see that all he has to really do is just accept the place that the Most High has made for himself, and then all his needs are being provided for him there when he's able to just trust in the Most High, where he goes from being this person that goes into this place where it's a potential hostile situation to where now his he has become a threat to the people that was a threat to him before. But it's all because of him just being obedient and being in tune to what it is that the Most High had for him to be doing. Let's see here. Oh, okay. So let's go down to, so we see that, it happened where they strove over these wells, and then he moved and he made another one. But I want to look at I want to drop down to verse 24.
24. And Yahweh appeared to him the same night and said, I am the Elohim of your father Abraham. Do not fear, for I am with you, and shall bless you and increase your seed for my servant Abraham's sake.
Okay, so it's interesting that we see over here in verse 24 what it is that the Most High says to him. He didn't say this for nothing. Do not fear. Do not fear. This is the thing. This was the issue that we had over here from the beginning, was a fear of these people. He's not talking about do not fear me. He's not talking about do not fear Yah. Don't fear Elohim. Don't have a fear outside of Elohim, because I am with you. Mm-hmm. He's trying to cause him to understand that he, in fact, just like if we look back, what chapter is that? 12. Oh, wait. No. 13. He got the same thing to say to Isaac is what he said to Abraham. If I can find it. What's that? 13, 14. Just keep running there and grab my Bible off of that desk. I'm gonna turn right to it when I look at my physical Bible, but I can't. I'm looking at this stupid computer.
I forgot mine because I was about to reach for it, and I was like, I got my physical Bible. Can't forget that. Actually, I got my little
The digital isn't the same. Huh?
The digital ain't the same.
No.
I know right
Touching
where
pages.
I know right where it's supposed to be at.
Yeah.
Right where it's supposed to be at.
It's a
in
different
the,
thing.
I know it's right. I know it's right here. I turn right to it.
Right.
You did not sound right to it.
I know where it's supposed to be at in his book right here. You know what I'm saying?
See, I don't even use
This
this. I
is
can't
verse-
return
Oh,
to
you
it
got
again.
you got your
I
pocket
need
one.
my
You need your
one
real
that-
one.
Yeah, I put years with. This one don't work like that. I
Yeah.
can't turn to where.
I know. You gotta become accustomed to it.
Yeah, I don't use this one.
This verse here, read this verse 1 right here, 15 and 1.
After these events, the word of Yahweh came to Abram in a vision, saying, "Do not be afraid, Abram. I am your shield. Your reward is exceedingly great." Dang.
He said the same thing to Abraham. Abraham, don't be afraid. He didn't say this part to Isaac. I'm your shield.
I'm your shield.
But he's basically saying that. He's saying, don't be afraid. I'm with you. If I'm with you, how's something gonna happen to you? If I'm for you, who could be against you?
Go to that
Yeah,
shield word.
on the side.
I am thy shield. Let's delve in that.
I'm your Mo game. Let's see. Because this is what we got to understand. The Most High is with us. Then he going to be a shield. That is the small one or buckler, the protector.
Protector.
Also, the scaly hide of a crocodile. You know, if you try to mess around and shoot a crocodile with something like a 9mm, it might not die.
Yeah.
That thing ain't penetrating his thick, scaly hide.
Mm-hmm.
He got armor, right? Defense, shield, protector, right? And so this is the thing that the Most High is for. This is what he was for Abraham, and this is what he is for Isaac. And so when he's saying to him, don't be afraid, I am your shield is implied over here. These other things is implied over here when he's saying this to him, because what verse was we looking at? 24. He said, I am with you. And so that right there is saying a lot. And so when we think about what we're seeing over here in terms of the Most High appearing unto him, having this intimate relationship with him hearing what he's saying and experiencing the Most High now to a greater level where he's able to trust in the Most High and understand the words that he's speaking to him, and knowing that when he says, do not fear, I am with you, that you don't have to be afraid of these things that are not Elohim.
They're not gonna be able to do that. They're gonna be able to penetrate your protection.
And you can't sit up here and be afraid of these things that's around you, because if you just sit and do what it is, what the Most High has for you to be doing, you're going to get to a place where they actually are going to be afraid of you. You receiving so many blessings from just walking in the character of the Most High, that these other people is being blessed because of your blessings. He said the nations will be blessed because of you. Mm-hmm. These people is living in a place that is, the famine was in the land. You not filling up a well that got water in it. You're filling it up because it don't got water no more, and some kids might go and walk around and fall in there. So you're gonna fill it up because it's dead. And Isaac is sitting up here digging these wells, and water's coming out. And then now They get mad, and he like, all right, go ahead then.
They're like, that's my well.
Go ahead then. I'll just go over here and dig another one.
And see, that's the thing is he had the knowledge.
Yeah.
And see that, and when you got that knowledge, people that don't know how to do stuff, they don't know, like, they just think things are scarce or whatever. When a lot of things, like, they take it to a physical, finite thing when it's really knowledge to get you what you need. And the Most High is the supreme because he will guide you to where you always need to be if you follow him.
Yeah. And these is wells that Abraham dug. But then Abraham ain't around, and then they dry up. Right? These people are not filling up good wells. They're filling up dried up wells, but they dried up because they just not doing it just for the spite. Oh, this was Abraham's well, I'm gonna fill it up. No, they filling it up because to them it's not useful anymore. Right? And so now the Most High is blessing Isaac the way that he blessed Abraham. And then these people now are receiving blessings because of Isaac. If he's not around, they die of thirst. Right? If he's not around, they don't receive the blessings. And so it's the same thing we was talking about before when we talk about the idea of us. Yeshua said if we come to his well and get water to drink, we'll become like fountains of living water. We become a blessing to those that deal with us when we first come to Messiah and drink. And so we see over here with Isaac where he got to the place where he was able to remove deceit from his life. And we see that the blessings then began. The blessings he got overtaken with blessing. He had so much blessing that it almost became a detriment where these people was ready to fight because he was blessed so much.
Yeah.
He just had blessing on blessing. Right? He's blessed all over the place. But we see the prophecy being fulfilled where the nations, these other peoples, because of your blessing, they're becoming blessed. And he's saying it right over here, right? Don't fear, I'm with you. I'll bless you and increase you for your servants, my servant Abraham's sake.
And that makes sense. Like when we talk about the patriarchy and with the faith in him being blessed and how he was talking about he's going to bless the children. Simply put, it's like Abraham's example is what we should be following behind because that's what the Most High approved of as he lived his life to bless him. So it's like you follow in his footsteps, you're going to continue to be blessed.
Yeah.
It's like if you set your family up here and y'all was doing the right thing, that means the Most High was blessing you. So clearly the only way to mess it up is if you stop following that example in which the Most High causes to be written now to see where you messing up, where you cause your blessings to go away.
Yeah.
So that's that.
Yeah. So when we think about, how we're able to look at Isaac and we're able to see the gospel when we look at Isaac in this situation where he was able to come into rightness with the Most High. The Most High was speaking with him, but there was some lessons that had to be learned. Right? Just for the simple fact that he was Isaac didn't mean that everything was going to go perfect for him. He still had to go through some tests. He still had to go through some trials. And he had to pass the tests and get through the things to the other side. And when he does that, we see that the blessings then come. And not only did they come for him, but they came for those that was around him. And so there was people that was in need of something that he had. There was people that was around that needed a blessing that he had, and the only way that they was going to receive it was by Isaac being faithful and walking in obedience. If Isaac goes away to Egypt, none of this stuff happens.
Yeah.
But he stays there and he's able to be blessed himself, and he's able to be a blessing to those around him. And so the Most High says through Messiah that he calls for us to receive the light from Yeshua. Receive that light, and not only receive the light, but to actually be a light to others. If we just take our light and hide it in our little situation, a light wasn't a flashlight, it was fire. If you covering up the fire, you gonna burn up.
Yeah.
If you try to cover the thing up and keep it down in this little contained situation, it's not going to be able to do that which it was purposed to do.
Or you smother in it. If you smother a fire, it die.
Or that.
You need oxygen to breathe.
Right. It's gonna go out. If you contain it in a little area, it's gonna burn until the oxygen gone, till the fuel is gone, and then it's gonna go out. That thing needs to be in the open so that air could get to it and it could fuel and live and thrive. And so we, as followers of Messiah, are called to not only receive the blessing that we receive from Messiah, but to actually be a light in a world of darkness and allow for the Messiah's light to shine through us to the point where we actually become the righteousness of Elohim, only because we have the righteousness of Elohim inside of us, who is Yeshua HaMashiach. And so when we look at the story of Isaac, as he's dealing with, these situations with this famine, I just thought it was interesting that we're able to see kind of this process go down where we understand who Isaac is. We understand that he has a purpose. We see him slightly, it's not a big thing, but we do see him slightly waver. And then we see where he's able to make these adjustments and get back on track and step right back into his purpose, which is, good for not only himself, but also for those that are around him. And so when we go down, just quickly ending here, when we go down to the bottom over here, it's interesting when we see the last here. Let's just read the last two verses here, this chapter 34 and 35 there.
And when Esau was 40 years old, he took as wives Judith, the daughter of Beriel, the Hittite, and Besmath, the daughter of Elon, the Hittite. And they were a bitterness of the spirit of Yitzchak and Rivka.
Okay, very good. So we see over here where Esau now is bringing these other elements into their situation here, mixing with these Hittites, where it says that they were a bitterness in the spirit of his parents. It's interesting, as we go from this moving into the next chapter, which we'll do next week, y'all willing. But it's interesting when we look at kind of how the Most High, he has a way for his people to be, and at this point we can already see that that Jacob is in fact the chosen, but we're able to see why Esau isn't the chosen, right? He manifests his froward actions, in the way that he is. When we look at how with Abraham, he sends out his servant. First of all, with his own self, his wife is of his kindred, right? Sarah. We see for his son, he sends for his trusted servant to go out and find a wife of his kindred, right? And then we see with Esau, he takes these wives of these Hittites, right? He don't go along with the status quo of what they do. Like there's a thing that they do, and he ain't doing it.
You know, like going to the people.
Yeah.
And he just
not going to these outside people.
He was hunting for his wife for himself. He wasn't waiting for it to be like established what he was going to do.
It's interesting. It's interesting when you look at Esau because there's things about Esau. There's redeeming qualities in Esau, but you're able to see how redeeming qualities outside of the order of things just goes all the way wrong. Now, if you want to say that Esau, he's a hunter, he wasn't going to wait. He was going to hunt and find some.
He's a real man. He
was
gets
a manly
out there.
man.
What he should have actually done was went out and hunted for someone of his kindred. And so it's good to see that he goes out and he does thus and so, but when he does it on the outside of the parameters that the Most High has put into place, it causes for his whole situation to be wrong. And so, we're able to look at Esau and say, I can understand these qualities that exist within him that are redeeming qualities. The fact that he's this hunter, this protector, this gatherer, right? But with the caveat that he's hunting after the wrong things, right? That with the caveat that he's seeking to protect the wrong things, right? So he has these qualities, but he's using them outside of the parameters that the Most High has put in place. And it's just, that's the thing with sin, where it's just this minor adjustment to the right thing, which just makes it be all the way wrong. Right? A single man is able to look at a single woman and strongly desire her and seek after her. But you can't do that same thing with somebody else's wife.
Right.
Right? You're able to look at something in the showroom and say, that is a wonderful car. I really want that car in particular. Because it's for sale.
Yeah, it's being shown off.
They're selling it. They're literally selling it, right? So you're inside a particular set of parameters. But for me to look over at the neighbor's stuff, oh wow, I want that one. I don't want to go to the store and get one like it. I want his, because the next thing is, what do I got to do to get it? I got to break into it. I got to beat him up and take his keys. Right? The next step that you get to after you have this inordinate desire for this thing is to do whatever it takes to get it.
Mhm.
And so, which causes you to be in sin. And so, when you talk about sin, it's this thing that's just like it's a couple clicks over to the left, but it turns it into being this thing that is just all the way wrong. And it's just so close just to being something that's right. He's 40 years old. He should be about finding himself a companion. But why he got to go to these Hittites, though? That's where he messed up.
He got impatient.
That's where he went.
Go ahead and take what I can see.
Yeah.
Hittites are descendants of Japheth, right?
Hittites are the people that's in the land of Canaan. So they end up being no. So they're gonna be.
I looked it up and it says they're one of the ancient Indo-European people.
Ham,
It's gonna be the people from Ham
Hamites.
because they're from the land of Canaan, and so they end up being this.
Oh, okay.
The Hittites is one of those 7 nations: the Girgasites, the Hittites, the Jebusites, and all the Amorites, and all of that. And so they end up being these people that's forbidden, right?
Is it in Deuteronomy where it said, "Don't marry none of these nations"?
These is one of them.
Jesus, yeah.
These is one of them people.
Yep.
And so the people that was in the land that they was in, they wasn't supposed to go to them people. They was supposed to go back to where they came from to find their mates and bring them back over here. So he just was lazy. I ain't going all the way back over there. These some good Hittites sitting right over there.
There was a thorn.
What I gotta go way back over there for? Some nice looking Hittites. They sit right over there. Matter of fact, I'm gonna take 2 of them. He tripping. And then that over there, we see, caused a bitterness in the spirit of Yitzhak and Rivka. Yitzhak, that was his Isaac. Esau, that was his guy.
Mm-hmm.
That was his favorite one.
Mm-hmm.
But he's moving outside of the parameters over there.
I'm just gonna take these wives out of these people.
Mm-hmm.
He's not moving in the spirit. He got in the spirit.
Yeah, and that's his MO though. At this point, that's what he do. Like he's just in his carnality. That's how Esau get down. Okay, so does anyone have any last questions, comments about any of that stuff here, additions before we go ahead and be done? Okay, that being said, guess we will be done for this week. Y'all willing, we'll be back on next Shabbat to continue with our look at the triennial Torah portion with continuing in the book of Bereshit. Until then, everybody enjoy the rest of your Shabbat.
Yes, Shabbat
We'll
shalom.
say to you, Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat shalom.
Shabbat shalom.